Hey there, and welcome back to the video series about the RESTful API. In the previous video we created the update request and tested it out using PostMan. So now we have the final one in the CRUD operations called delete. How is that going to be coded? Well, it looks a bit like the one we have right here, except that we are not going to update, we're going to delete it, and then we also probably should output some different messages than update here. So we're going to copy the code right here. Whoop. And we also need to change the HTTP method because it is not a put anymore, it is delete. We are still providing the ID to tell the API and the database what ID it should work with. And we still have a body in this one here, and we also have the update. But if you recall the previous video where we talked about the HTTP method, that this route does not need to have the body because the only thing it should do is to find the ID and remove it. So we don't need to update anything or to use the body for anything. So we will remove the request body, and then we should also find another method. If we take find by ID, because we have an ID, then we can take this find by ID and delete. That should do the trick for us. Okay, and we still get the ID from the parameters, so we can use it right here. Now we probably need to change the messages that we output to the users, so it should not be cannot update. It should probably be cannot delete product because it cannot find it. We have the same case here, that if we provide the wrong ID, it will not be able to find it in the database, cannot delete it. So this is still relevant here, and we also need to change this one here. Product was successfully deleted. And finally, error deleting product with this ID. So that should do the trick. If we want to test this out, then we go back to PostMan to do it. And the reason why I'm using PostMan is because it is really easy to do these put and post and delete requests in here as opposed to in the browser. So I'm just going to create a new request called delete product, and if we open this one up here, let's just see here, then we have the same boilerplate that will default to get. We need to change this to delete. We also need to provide something in the request URL, and I think we can reuse the one we have in the update because we need to have the generic API URL here, and then we also need to provide an ID. So if we take the same here, then we want to delete the product with this ID, and we need to change it to 2 because we tested it out in the previous video. So this should be the correct ID, and we don't need to provide any body because we are not updating or sending data that is to be stored in the database. So this should be it, and if we test it out, let's see what happens. We get the message 200, okay, and product was successfully deleted. That should be product 2. If we head over to our get all products route, we can see that it has been deleted from the database. And if we go back to delete and we again provide a wrong ID, it should tell us that it cannot delete it because it cannot find the ID that we deleted just before. So that kind of concludes on the first part here of the series where we built a RESTful API using the products, all the CRUD operations. In the next videos, I will extend this API with some authentication, because right now it is a little bit vulnerable to if you want to exploit this API, because you could, as we can see, we can use this from any browser, and we can do this from PostMan. We don't need to authenticate us using anything. We don't need to log in or create users, so it is a little bit vulnerable. And even more if we deploy it to an online provider like Heroku or something like that. So in the next videos, we will start building an authentication system that we can attach to these routes that will protect it from malicious users. Okay, so I hope you make this work and have fun with this. Bye-bye.